Well, hello there, friends, and welcome back to Storytime Theatre. I'm so glad to have you with me today. Isn't it just a beautiful day? Today, friends, we are going to read the 6th chapter of Peter Pan, and I know that it's going to be an exciting one. To recap where we last left off, we've met the Lost Boys, the pirates, the indigenous people of Neverland, and some creatures, including the crocodile, my particular favorite. And now, Tinkerbell and Wendy have met up with the Lost Boys, except Tinks played a rather awful prank on the boys and managed to get them to shoot Wendy down with a bow and arrow. I hope that girl's all right. Let's take a look and see. This is chapter 6, The Little House. Foolish Toodles was standing like a conqueror over Wendy's body when the other boys sprang armed from their trees.
"You're too late," he cried proudly. "I have shot Wendy. Peter will be so pleased with me."
Overhead, Tinkerbell shouted some not nice words and darted into hiding. They had crowded round Wendy, and as they looked, a terrible silence fell upon the wood. If Wendy's heart had been beating, they would all have heard it. Slightly was first to speak.
"This is no bird,"
he said in a scared voice.
"I think it must be a lady." "A lady?"
said Toodles, and fell a-trembling.
"And we have killed her,"
said Nibs.
"Now I see," Curly said. "Peter was bringing her to us."
"A lady to take care of us at last," said one of the twins.
"And you've killed her."
Toodles' face was very white, but there was a dignity about him now that had never been there before.
"I did it," he said, reflecting. "When ladies used to come to me in dreams, I said, 'Pretty mother, pretty mother.' But when at last she came, I shot her."
He moved slowly away. "Don't go," they called in pity.
"I must," he answered, shaking. "I'm so afraid of Peter."
It was at this tragic moment that they heard a sound. They heard Peter crow.
"Hide her,"
they whispered, and gathered hastily around Wendy, but Toodles stood aloof. Again came the ringing of a crow, and Peter dropped in front of them. "Greetings, boys," he cried, and mechanically they saluted, and then again was silence. He frowned. "I'm back," he said hotly. "Why do you not cheer?" They opened their mouths, but the cheers would not come. "Great news, boys! I have brought us a mother." Still no sound, except a little thud from Toodles as he dropped to his knees. "Have you seen her?" asked Peter, becoming troubled. "She flew this way." Toodles rose.
"Peter," he said quietly, "I will show her to you."
And when the others would still have hidden her, he said,
"Back, twins. Let Peter see."
So they all stood back and let him see, and after he had looked for a little time, he did not know what to do next. "She is dead," he said, uncomfortable. But there was the arrow. He took it from her heart and faced his band. "Whose arrow?" he demanded sternly.
"Mine, Peter,"
said Toodles on his knees. "Oh, dastard hand," Peter said, and he raised his arrow to use it as a dagger. "Whoa! Double murder weapon!" Toodles did not flinch. He bared his chest.
"Strike, Peter, and strike true."
Twice did Peter raise the arrow, and twice did his hand fall. "I cannot strike," he said with awe. "There's something stays my hand." All looked at him in wonder, save Nibs, who fortunately looked at Wendy.
"It is she," he cried. "The Wendy lady. See her arm?"
Wonderful to relate, Wendy had raised her arm. Nibs bent over and listened reverently.
"I think she said poor Toodles," he whispered.
"She lives," Peter said briefly. Slightly cried instantly,
"The Wendy lady lives!"
Then Peter knelt beside her and found his button. "See," he said, "the arrow struck against this. It is a kiss I gave her. It saved her life."
"I remember kisses,"
Slightly interposed quickly.
"Let me see." "Why, that's a kiss."
But from overhead came a wailing note.
"Listen to Tink," said Curly. "She's crying because Wendy lives."
Then they had to tell Peter of Tink's crime, and almost never they had seen him look so stern. "Listen, Tinker Bell," he cried. "I am your friend no more. Be gone from me forever." Yeah, I would not be friends with someone if they got my other friend killed. Well, Wendy's not dead, so she didn't get her killed, but attempted. She flew onto his shoulder and pleaded, but he brushed her off, not until Wendy raised her arm again. "Well, not forever, but for a whole week." To some people that is forever. Have you been in the world recently? What to do with Wendy in her present delicate state of health?
"Let us carry her down into the house,"
Curly suggested.
"Why?"
Said Slightly.
"That is what one does with ladies."
No, Peter said. "You must not touch her. It would not be sufficiently respectful."
"That," said Slightly, "is what I was thinking." "But if she lies there," said Toodles, "she will die." "Boy, she will die," Slightly admitted, "but there's no way out."
"Yes, there is," cried Peter. "Let us build a little house around her." They were all delighted. "Bring me, each of you, the best of what we have. Gut our house, and be sharp." In a moment, they were busy as tailors as the night before a wedding. They scurried this way and that, down for bedding, up for firewood, and while they were at it, who showed up but John and Michael? You may be sure that they were very relieved to find Peter. "Hello, Peter," they said. "Hello," replied Peter, though he had quite forgotten them. "Is Wendy asleep?" they asked. "Yes."
"John," Michael proposed, "let us wake her and get her to make supper for us."
And as he said it, some of the other boys rushed on carrying branches for building a house.
"Look at them!"
he cried. "Girlie," said Peter in his most captain-y voice, "see that these boys help in building the house."
"Aye, aye, sir."
"Build a house?" exclaimed John.
"For Wendy."
"For Wendy?" John said aghast. "Why, she's only a girl."
"That," explained Curly, "is why we are her servants."
"You, Wendy's servants?" "Yes," said Peter. "And you also. Away with them." The wood had been alive with the sound of axes. Almost everything needed for the cozy dwelling already lay at Wendy's feet. "If only we knew," said one, "the kind of house she'd like best." "Peter," shouted another, "she is moving in her sleep." "Her mouth opens," cried a third, looking respectfully into it. "Oh, lovely." "Perhaps she is going to sing in her sleep," said Peter. "Wendy, sing the kind of house you would like to have." Immediately, without opening her eyes, Wendy began to sing. "I wish I had a pretty house, the littlest ever seen, with funny little red walls and a room They gurgled with joy at this, for by the greatest good luck the branches they had brought were sticky with red sap, and all the ground was carpeted with moss. As they rattled up the little house, they broke into song themselves. "We've built the little walls and roof, and made a lovely door. So tell us, Mother Wendy, what are you wanting more?" To this she answered rather greedily, "Oh, it's another song." "Oh, really, next I'll think I'll have gay windows all about, with roses peeping in, you know, and babies peeping out." With a blow of their fists they made windows, and large yellow leaves were the blinds, but roses. "Roses!" cried Peter sternly. Quickly they made believe to grow the loveliest roses up the walls. But there was the matter of babies. To prevent Peter ordering babies, they hurried into song again. "We've made the roses peeping out. The babes are at the door. We cannot make ourselves, you know, 'cause we've been made before." The house was quite beautiful. No doubt Wendy was very cozy within, though they could no longer see her. Peter strode up and down, ordering finishing touches. Nothing escaped his eagle eye. Just when it seemed absolutely finished, "There's no knocker on the door," he said. They were very ashamed, but Toodles gave the sole of his shoe and made it an excellent knocker. Absolutely finished now, they thought. Not a bit of it. "There's no chimney," Peter said. "We must have a chimney." "It certainly does need a chimney," said John importantly. This gave Peter an idea. He snatched the hat off John's head, knocked out the bottom, and put the hat on the roof. The little house was so pleased to have such a capital chimney that, as if to say thank you, smoke immediately began to come out of the hat. Now, really and truly, it was finished. Nothing remained to do but to knock. Wow. Property Brothers ain't got nothing on these Lost Boys. They just turned around a house in 2 pages. Impressive. "All look your best," Peter warned them. "First impressions are awfully important." He was glad no one asked him what first impressions are. They were all too busy looking their best. He knocked politely, and now the wood was still as the children. Not a sound to be heard except from Tinker Bell, who was watching from the branch and openly sneering. The door opened and a lady came out. It was Wendy. She looked properly surprised, and this was just how they had hoped she would look. "Where am I?" she said. Of course, Slightly was the first to get his words in. "Wendy, lady," he said rapidly, "for you we have built this house." "Oh, yes, you are pleased?" cried Nibs. "Lovely, darling house," Wendy said, and they were the very words they had hoped she would say. "And we are your children," cried the twins. Then all at once they went on their knees, holding their arms out, and cried, "Oh, Wendy, lady, be our mother." "Oh, I?" Wendy said, all shining. "Of course, it's frightfully fascinating, but you see, I'm only a little girl. I have no real experience." "That doesn't matter," said Peter, as if he were the only person present who knew all about it, though he was really the one who knew the least. "What we need is just a nice, motherly person." "Oh dear," Wendy said. "You see, I feel that is exactly who I am." It is, they all cried. "We saw it at once." "Very well," she said. "I will do my best. Come inside at once, you naughty children. I'm sure your feet are damp, but before I put you to bed, I'll have just enough time to finish the story of Cinderella." In they went, and that was the first of the many joyous evenings they would have with Wendy. By and by, she tucked them up in a great bed in the home under the trees, but she herself slept that night in the little house, and Peter kept watch outside with sword drawn for the pirates who could be carousing far away, and the wolves who were on the prowl. The little house looked so cozy and safe in the darkness, with a bright light showing through its blinds, and the chimney smoking beautifully, and Peter standing guard. that is it, my friends, for chapter 6, The Little House. A nice little cute chapter. I will see you next time for chapter 7, The Home Underground. All right, take this off. It's so